All right. So as I said, it's not enhances consciousness. It's ordinance unconscious. He has no way to influence the id-ego superego conflict. Hence, this is a deterministic view. ठीक है. Individual situational. All right. So this is interesting. Is the situation is to blame or is Hans's aspect of personality to blame? Well, I'm gonna say it is Hans's, it is in individual aspect क्योंकि see it is Hans who develops Oedipus complex, right? It is Hans जिसके साथ क्या कहते हैं id और super ego की conflict रही क्योंकि these are all personality aspect of Hans, right? So uh, Hans के अंदर id ego super ego conflict हो रहा है, ठीक है ना, is individual. Hans himself develops Oedipus complex, ठीक है ना, this is individual, right? Situation is not to blame because of it क्योंकि I feel अगर घोड़ा नहीं गिरता Hans के सामने then Hans may have developed phobia because onto some other object, right? So it's completely individual क्योंकि फ्रॉइड कहता है कि देखो घोड़े से हांस को अगर मैं घोड़े सही करवाऊंगा ना हाँ सही नहीं होगा the only way to fix Hans is to make him address his issue जब वो बड़ा हो जाएगा so you need to confront Hans with whatever's happening in his unconscious जब वो बड़ा होगा that's the only way the person will solve his problem you don't change the situation so whatever Hans is going through it is because of the individual aspect ठीक है ना ego superego conflict happening inside Hans's unconscious individual है Hans developing Oedipus complex individual है उसके अलावा nature nurture all right this is so if you think about it Hans पैदाइशी doesn't like his mom right Hans develops the keyword develops Oedipus complex number two uh, Hans का horse phobia अगर देखें so Hans is not naturally scared of horses right he like develops a fear of horses because he develops a fear of his dad. He is not pedaishi scared of his dad. So he was nurtured into getting scared of his dad because of his phobia. He was nurtured getting into scared of his horses because of displacement. So because Hans was not naturally scared of these objects, he developed the fear. That's why it's gonna be nurtured. I hope that makes sense. और क्या था कल्चर बायस है वी ऑलरेडी डिस्कस है कि कल्चर बायस है कि नहीं उस जमाना एंड द कल्चर हैव नाउ चेंज्ड that's a culture by scientific evidence I've told you it lacks it so yeah that is going to be it is there any application for Freud's theory right yes there is क्योंकि please remember जो हम explanations पढ़ते हैं right um, if you go all the way back to schizophrenia का जो dopamine issue चल रहा था cognitive issue चल रहा था right if we go schizophrenia का जो था जेनेटिक के अलावा सारे पर्सपेक्टिव से जिस तरीके से तुम बताते हो कि इस तरीके से डिसऑर्डर बनता है बंदे में इस तरीके से डिप्रेशन पैदा होता है एवरीथिंग अपार्ट फ्रॉम जेनेटिक्स उसका उसी तरीके से उसी पर्सपेक्टिव ट्रीटमेंट निकलता है इफ यू से बायोकेमिकल इज द प्रॉब्लम बूम यू हैव मेडिकेशंस राइट इफ यू से यू नो व्हाट द पर्सनस थिंकिंग वाज अ प्रॉब्लम बूम यू हैव कॉग्निटिव थेरेपी इसी तरह फ्रॉइड जिस तरीके से मसला समझा रहा होगा ना ये जो सारा मसला है इसी तरीके से फ्रॉइड ने अपनी थेरेपी भी बनाई है इस कॉल्ड क्या कहते हैं इसको साइकोएनालिटिक साइकोएनालिसिस राइट तुमने देखा होगा क्लासिक एग्जांपल ऑफ फ्रॉइड इज बंदा काउच पे बैठा होता है उसके पीछे थेरेपिस्ट होता है राइट you've seen it you should have seen it therapy इस तरीके से होती होगी तो अगर तुमने तस्वीर देखी होगी राइट फ्रॉइड इस तरीके से थेरेपी करता था सो फ्रॉइड जिस तरीके से मसला समझता है फ्रॉइड के तरीके से भी थेरेपी डेवलप हुई होगी सो whatever explanation that we're studying right except genetics उसी पर्सपेक्टिव से उसका ट्रीटमेंट भी निकाला है सो इफ इज फ्रॉइड्स एक्सप्लेनेशन एप्लीकेबल यस क्योंकि फिर हम फ्रॉइड के एक्सप्लेनेशन के हिसाब से थेरेपी डिजाइन करते हैं टू रिजॉल्व दिस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विद इन हांस इसमें क्या होता है यू नो लाइक बंदे से फ्री एसोसिएशन करवाते हैं राइट फॉर एग्जांपल बंदे से बोलते हैं यार जो मैं अल्फाज बोलूंगा राइट से द फर्स्ट वर्ड दैट कम्स टू योर माइंड ठीक है हाउस बंदा बोलेगा कार बंदा बोलेगा यू नो मनी बंदा बोलेगा father banda kuch na kuch mother kuch na kuch banda bolega, right? Chances are ke Freud is going to catch something. अगर बंदा फादर में अटक गया ना थोड़ा, इसका मतलब फ्रॉइड समझे कुछ ना कुछ मस्त है अब बुक से। मदर के अंदर इसने कोई ना कोई अनयूजुअल चीज बोल दी, क्योंकि असल में अम्मी के साथ लोग नर्चर लव केयर समथिंग दे एसोसिएट समथिंग पॉजिटिव विद इट, कोई ना कोई नेगेटिव या वियर्ड एसोसिएट कर दिया। हांस ने इस प्रोसेस के अंदर फ्रॉइड को पता चल जाएगा कुछ ना कुछ मसला है। सो फ्रॉइड के तरीके से थेरेपी डिजाइन हुए हैं वो अलग बात है, तुम्हारे सिलेबस के अंदर नहीं है। सो इट इज एप्लीकेबल, एवरीथिंग एवरी एक्सप्लेनेशन इज एप्लीकेबल अपार्ट फ्रॉम द जेनेटिक एक्सप्लेनेशन, क्योंकि जेनेटिक ट्रीटमेंट हम नहीं कर सकते। Alright, discuss the advantages and alright, so discuss the advantage and disadvantage using case studies, study phobia. This question has been in your AS psychology कभी कभार आया होगा, ठीक है ना? नॉट दैट डायरेक्ट, लेकिन व्हाट इवैल्यूएशन के तौर पे आया था, सेलमैन के तरीके से। सो उसी तरीके से राइट जनरलाइजेबल का मसला ऑब्वियसली होगा केस स्टडी के अंदर, लाइक यूनिक पीपल, there could be a chance of experimenter bias, because the experimenter studies someone for a long amount of time, so what they may develop some sort of क्या कहते हैं इमोशनल कनेक्शन विद whoever they're studying for a long time, तो इस तरीके से जो फाइंडिंग रिपोर्ट करेंगे वो heavily influence हो सकते हैं, so there's a disadvantage. The advantage is that you get insight into some unique situation, right, which has never been studied before, yeah, which has never been studied in depth before, so you have more new knowledge coming to psychology if you investigate something new. So addition of knowledge is a positive thing. Number three, if you use case study to study phobia, okay, case study involves longitudinal aspect as well. So you get a clear idea of how phobia develops. तो क्योंकि तुम्हें पता चल जाएगा कि फोबिया डेवलप कैसा कैसे हुई, यू हैव अ कंप्लीट ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड, क्योंकि तुम लंबे अरसे से कर रहे हो। सो यू विल नॉट ओनली be able to understand in depth, yeah, in detail how a phobia develops, but if you studied a treatment program as well, you will understand how the entire process of how the phobia gets cured as well, right? So you can track the development and the treatment of phobia in depth as well. So that is going to be a plus point of using case study. Um, again, I guess that's it. All right. So, oh yeah. All right. So now we leave Freud behind. Now we come on to the cognitive approach, right? ये तुम्हारा main study है cognitive approach का, Leonardo, इसको मैं पहले slides की, yeah. That's so Leonardo says कि what, your thought process are responsible for making you scared of things. Now I want you to go back to the behavioral approach, classical conditioning wala, where I distinctly remember telling you guys that people who follow the behavioral school of psychology believe that you don't have thought processes, right? You cannot think, so that's why तुम्हारे साथ अच्छा होगा तुम उसको पसंद करोगे, तुम्हारे साथ बुरा होगा तुम उसको, what, you'll feel bad about it, and you cannot choose to do something else, क्योंकि तुम्हारे पास कोई दिमाग या थिंकिंग प्रोसेस वाला एलिमेंट नहीं है। डिनार्डो कॉग्निटिव साइकोलॉजिस्ट है, डिनार्डो कुछ और कहता है। To prove this point, he does an experiment, ठीक है ना? He calls many people who had a bad experience with a dog previously. So, could be you might also have a problem with dogs as well previously, but turns out that everyone who had a bad experience with the dogs, 100% हर किसी को phobia नहीं हुआ. In fact, 50% of them developed phobias and 50% of them did not develop phobia. So according to behaviorist view, if something bad happens to you, obviously phobia तुम्हें होगा 100%, but यहाँ पे is 50%. So यहाँ पे पहली बात ये कि behaviorist view of phobia apply नहीं हुई. There's something else in the middle, and something else in the middle is called thought processes. So according to Leonardo, people who develop phobia because उनके साथ कोई ना कोई बुरा एक्सपीरियंस हुआ होता है ना, वो उसी चीज को लेके उसी चीज को फिर गलत तरीके से सोचते हैं। किस तरीके से? They think that the same thing is going to happen to them again, right? Yeah, what they do is they think that in the future the dog will harm them more. सो दो तरीके हैं, या तो सोचेंगे मेरे साथ जो आज जो है ना वो हमेशा होगा, जब भी मैं कुत्ते को देखूं, या वो सोचेंगे आज जो मेरे साथ हो ना उससे भी बढ़ के कुछ ना कुछ गलत होने वाला है। या तो उसको और खतरनाक कर देंगे, या सोचेंगे ये मेरे साथ हमेशा होता रहेगा। सो whatever is the thinking process, या negative thinking process, ठीक है ना, या mal adaptive thinking process that causes phobia into people. People who don't think this way, people who think, hey, this was a one time occurrence, it won't happen again. Yeah, people who don't exaggerate that much in their thinking process don't develop phobias. So that is Leonardo's cognitive explanation. ठीक है ना, this is the entire summary. ठीक है ना, 50% of them develop phobias. ठीक है ना, क्योंकि again, it is the maladaptive process that causes you to develop phobias. People who keep thinking about it develop phobia. ठीक है ना, people who think more negative outcomes to develop phobia. People who expect it to happen again develop phobias. And people who don't focus upon it, yeah, don't expect negative things to happen, will not develop phobias. ठीक है, so it is a cognitive process that makes you develop phobias. So there's another study. ये तुम्हारा main study नहीं है. This is something extra you can use to prove that you know what cognitive explanation of phobia is applicable. If you want to argue with Freud, कि नहीं यार Freud तुम गलत हो, cognitive वाला सही है. So King and Brochcott, what they do is conduct an experiment. Do you guys know what a Stroop, STROOP लिखा Stroop? You know what a Stroop test is? कभी सुना है नाम? Alright, Stroop test. Alright, so basically this is Stroop test, right? What you're supposed to do, there are words that's going to flash onto your screen, right? So तुम्हें क्या करना है? You're supposed to obviously I cannot hear you क्योंकि तुम लोग का mic बंद है, and that's fine. I'm not supposed to hear you. But on your own, ठीक है ना, जो अल्फाज दिखाई देंगे, you're supposed to tell yourself quickly, without thinking, जल्दी से, as fast as you can, किस कलर में लिखा हुआ है. For example, ये अल्फाज white में लिखा हुआ है, right? So you're supposed to say white. You're not supposed to say क्या लिखा हुआ है. You're not supposed to read the word. You're just supposed to say in which color the word is written, right? So you're supposed to tell me the font color. Tell yourself the font color, right? And you're supposed to do it as quickly as you can. So this is a Stroop test, right? I'm gonna give you a taste of it. Here we go. All right, so that was the Stroop test. ठीक है. Uh, so like, did you guys have any difficulty when you answered it? शुरू में? Yeah, you guys were. All right, so this is a Stroop test, right? Tricks your brain. The idea is, okay, you know what? The brain is not designed to read. The brain is designed to recognize colors. Oh, sorry. The brain is designed to read, and the brain is not designed to recognize colors, right? So that's why you read the word instead of recognizing colors. So that's why you had to hold your backs from reading the word and say the colors, right? That's how your brain is designed naturally. Bharat. So Kind and Broshkar, what they do, they have two separate groups. आधे बच्चों को spider phobia, arachnophobia, and आधे बच्चों को spider phobia नहीं है. Normal kids. एंड दोनों बच्चे को ना इसी तरीके से वीडियो चला के दिखाते हैं, but they change the words instead of having, red, white, blue, yellow, green words. They write words like eggs, webs, spiders, what insect, something like any word that is related to the spider vocabulary, right? So spider related alfaz latte hain, right? And they tell the kids to tell the color it is written in, not tell what's written in. So what happened is, okay, the kids who develop spider phobia, right, their reaction time is slow. And the kids who don't have spider phobia, unko koi problem nahi, आराम से color बता रहे हैं, right? They're not stuck on the words. Obviously, the explanation is जिसको spider phobia है, वो spider related अल्फाज ज़्यादा consciously पढ़ता है. So that's why उसको थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है color बताने में, क्योंकि तुम्हारे साथ भी ये होता है, तुम अल्फाज पढ़ते, that's why color बताने मुश्किल होती है. Kids who are not spider phobic, उनके लिए ये अल्फाज random अल्फाज है, right? So they won't pay attention to the words as much, so they're gonna tell the names of the color easily. So the non-spider phobic kids tell the names of the color easy. इसका ये मतलब है कि cognitively क्या मतलब है, the things that you are scared of more, chances are you're going to pay more attention things related to that phobic object, right? जिससे तुम्हें डर लगता है तुम उसी चीज के ऊपर ज्यादा ध्यान दोगे. Cognitive, क्योंकि paying attention is also part of cognition. So this is another research that supports the cognitive view, but our main study is Leonardo. All right, let's talk about Leonardo. Is it deterministic? Yeah, free will. Well, according to Leonardo, and according to any and every cognitive psychologist, you can change your cognition. क्यों हमारे पास therapy होती है CBT के नाम से. CBT का क्या नाम? C stands for cognitive therapy, right? So it's gonna be change your thoughts. So they believe that your thoughts can be changed. It is in your control. So it is free will. Uh, is it reductionist? 100%. क्योंकि Leonardo only talks about maladaptive thoughts, ignores biology, ignores like behavior, ignores everything. It is reductionist. Is it individual situational? It's completely individual, right? हर किसी के साथ negative dog experiences हुए हैं. So everyone went through a bad situation, but not everyone developed phobia. क्योंकि it is down to the individual's thinking process. So it is individual. What else? Nature nurture. Is nurture, क्योंकि people who have negative thinking, negative thoughts develop phobia. ठीक है ना, क्योंकि यहाँ पे अल्फाज डेवलप है. ठीक है ना. So any the shortcut, जहाँ पे अल्फाज डेवलप आता है वहाँ पे nurture आता है, right? क्योंकि इसका ये मतलब होता है people are not पैदाइशी scared of dogs. The thoughts made them scared of the dogs. All right. So yeah, scientific, non-scientific. Is non-scientific because you cannot prove that thought process exists, just like Freud. Yeah. Is it applicable? It is applicable in terms of cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy can if you change the thoughts, you change the person's emotions and responses. So if you change the thoughts, people के phobia यहाँ पे शायद बदल सकते हैं. उसके अलावा क्या है? Thoughts. Is it culture bias? Well, could be culture bias क्योंकि scared fear of dogs, maybe a culture phenomenon, right? किसी culture के अंदर dogs को like थोड़ा बहुत highly appreciate करते हैं, या किस कोई culture जो dogs को as a religious symbol, या like क्या कहते हैं उसको significant symbol समझते, तो शायद वहाँ पे fear of dogs नहीं होंगे, right? So fear of dogs could be a cultural phenomenon, right? That may not be applicable in every single culture. So that's it. So यही है, ठीक है ना. There's nothing else about it. Designers try to investigate whether Joe's phobia is caused by cognitive or behavioral. This is interesting. तुम क्या करोगे? What you're going to do is for this, I guess what you're going to do is that you'll have Joe, right? And तुम क्या करोगे कि you make Joe go through a negative experience, right? And if Joe develops phobia because of that negative experience, it is behavioral, right? But if Joe, despite going through a negative experience, does not develop phobia of it, it is completely cognitive. ठीक है ना? That's one way to do it. ठीक है ना? What is the negative experience that you can make Joe go through? That's completely up to you. Like you can expose him to like what barking dogs, right? You can expose him to क्या कहते हैं, a high place, ठीक है ना, to cause him fear of heights, ठीक है. You can expose him to like blood के खून की videos दिखा सकते हो, right? Anything that you can do. You just have to make him go through a negative experience. If he develops phobia, it is behavioral. If it still doesn't develop, it's cognitive. So that's one way you can carry out this experiment. ठीक है ना? अभी तक ये क्वेश्चन ये पुराने 9698 का क्वेश्चन था, ये अभी सिलेबस में रिपीट नहीं हुआ, but it's a good way to give your mind a brain exercise. All right. Leonardo again. Now we come on to the last explanation for phobia. That is the genetic aspect. Are fears caused by genetic or not? My जो main study है in this genetic study is study by Oost, right? Oost की study ये वाली Oost. लेकिन उससे पहले, right? Uh, I like to get into one more study. This is a supporting study. This is not your or official study. So Cook and Mineka did this experiment to prove that some fears are genetic and some are not genetic. So basically, the idea is you see these monkeys, right? Now these monkeys, four different group of monkeys. ये अलग monkey, ये अलग monkey, ये अलग है, ये अलग है. So four different monkeys have four different TV in front of them. So what they're watching on the TV screen, हर monkey ना TV पे अलग TV screen पे वीडियो देख रहा है, and in the video there is a monkey. फर्क क्या है? यहाँ पे वीडियो कुछ और है मंकी के बारे में, यहाँ पे वीडियो कुछ और है. हर ग्रुप में मंकी के बारे में वीडियो अलग है. So in that video they're showing that इस ग्रुप के अंदर the monkey is getting scared of the toy snake, right? वीडियो दिखा रहे हैं कि बंदर जो है ना toy snake से डर रहा है. यहाँ पे क्या दिखा रहे हैं, बंदर जो है ना फूल से डर रहा है. यहाँ पे क्या दिखा रहे हैं, बंदा खरगोश से डर रहा है. और यहाँ पे क्या दिखा रहा है, बंदा जो है ना बंदर जो है ना crocodile से डर रहा है. So think about this. Think about it. They also all these monkeys saw another monkey getting scared of some object, right? That's step number one. Step number two, अब क्या होता है? Whatever they saw on TV, now they're gonna actually be exposed to the thing. For example, this monkey saw a toy snake, this monkey saw a flower, rabbit, and alligator. So this monkey is given a toy snake, this monkey is given alligator, this monkey is given a flower, this monkey is given a rabbit. It turns out that even though all these four monkeys saw a video of another monkey getting scared of the object, सिर्फ toy snake wale and the alligator wale get scared of their own object. The monkey who saw another monkey getting scared of flowers, this monkey wasn't scared of flowers. This monkey who saw another monkey getting scared of rabbit, this monkey wasn't scared of the rabbit. So this goes to show that you know what, some fear cannot be conditioned. Some fears are naturally present. Some fears are genetic. So they conclude कि क्योंकि हमने भले हर बंदर को दिखाया था कि दूसरा बंदर इस ऑब्जेक्ट से डर रहा है, लेकिन हमारी असल में जब हमने बंदर को एक्सपोज किया, बंदर किसी ऑब्जेक्ट से डर रहे, किसी ऑब्जेक्ट से नहीं डरे. सो द कंक्लूजन इसके जिस ऑब्जेक्ट से बंदर डरे थे वो उनके ना genetically programmed है. So they argue that fear of snake and fear of alligator is naturally programmed into bandar, and fear of flowers and fear of rabbit is not naturally programmed into bandar. So this is why it's some explanation of genetic explanation of phobia. Other genetic explanation of phobia could include weird phobias. For example, there's a phobia known as trypophobia, जहाँ पे people have fear of holes, सुराख से डर लगता है. ठीक है, such as this one, fear of holes. ठीक है, तो I have a student who has trypophobia, so people say that this could be genetic as well. Anyways, on to the main study. Ustwali. All right, so this is how it goes. Ust wants to answer two questions in his research, and he's investigating two phobias. He's investigating blood phobia, and he's investigating injection phobia. Right? He is investigating two phobias. दो फोबिया का इन्वेस्टिगेट करा है और दो क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है. What's the genetic link? Is there any genetic link in these phobias? As in, can these phobias be caused genetically? Yes or no? Number two, second question is, uh, why are people scared of blood, and why are people scared of injection? So he's asking two things: the reason of the phobia, and is there a genetic link or not? So what he does is, to answer the first question, ठीक है ना? He takes people who have blood phobia, and he takes people who have injection phobia. He studies them separately, obviously. So whoever it is, the blood phobia and injection phobia wale, what they do, ठीक है ना? He conducts interviews. He conducts interviews with the relatives of those people, ठीक है, to find out कि यार हमारे participant को blood phobia है. So you being a relative of that person, do you also have blood phobia? Same thing for injection wala. हमारे participant जो है इसको injection phobia. You being a relative of that participant, do you have injection phobia? So he conducts interviews with the families of the participants. Turns out that both injection and blood phobia वाले लोग का कोई ना कोई genetic link निकलता है. What happens is कि, alright, so what happens is कि people who are blood phobic, right? उनके 61% relatives निकलते हैं जिनको blood phobia, and people who are injection वाले phobia उनके 29% relatives निकलते हैं जिनको injection phobia है. So पहली बात ये कि yes, दोनों के genetic linkage है, but blood phobia का genetic linkage थोड़ा सा high है, injection का थोड़ा सा low है. So that answers question number one. Question number two: why are people scared of blood, and why are people scared of injection? To investigate this question answer, what he does is he conducts two separate studies. I think it is mentioned in your book in detail, ठीक है ना? He conducts an experiment. Injection phobia वालों का थोड़ा अलग होता है, blood phobia वालों का थोड़ा अलग होता है. Things in common with them. Injection phobia वालों के जिस्म पे ना वो लगा होता है, heart rate monitor, which measures your heart rate, obviously, blood pressure, and like sweating, palpitations वगैरह. Blood phobic वाले के ऊपर भी heart monitor लगा होता है, which measures the heart rate, blood pressure, and palpitation, etc. जो भी है. All right, that's the only two things that's common in the both the groups. बाकी जो study है, injection वालों के लिए अलग है, blood phobic वालों के लिए अलग है. Injection phobia वालों के साथ scene क्या होता है कि there's a person, ठीक है ना, that is going to inject them, उनको injection लगाएगा. So I think there are 11 steps. Yeah, I don't know. There are multiple steps. For example, step number one is cleaning the syringe in front of them. Step number two is like filling the injection with the liquid. Step number three is putting, like वो re-साफ करते हैं तुम्हारे skin के ऊपर iodine लगा के. Step number four is, what, bringing the needle close to your skin. Step number five is placing the needle onto your skin. Step number six, injecting the needle on your skin. Like there are many steps, right? So her step के, for example, step number one is cleaning the syringe in front of you. जब syringe साफ हो जाए, then the person who's going to inject you is going to ask you, can I move forward? Yeah, can I proceed? If you say yes, step number two पे आएगा. For example, उसने तुम्हारे सामने syringe fill किया पानी से या anything, and if you say नहीं, that's enough, I cannot let you go any further, मुझे anxiety हो रही है. If you say stop, if you say no, you cannot proceed, वहाँ पे experiment खत्म हो जाता है, right? So there are multiple steps taken up, which all which which go from preparing the injection to actually injecting you तक जाता है, right? And हर step के बाद they ask you yes or no. If you say yes, they proceed. If you say no, they stop. And इस पूरे process के दौरान तुम्हारा क्या note हो रहा है? ये सब note हो रहा है, heart rate, BP, and sweating. ठीक है? Makes sense. As for injection वाले लोग. Alright, ब्लड फोबिया वाले लोग के बारे में बात करते हैं. ब्लड फोबिया वाले लोग, they're like like sat in a chair पे बैठते हैं, right? इनके सामने एक वीडियो चल रही होती है स्क्रीन पे. वीडियो जो हो रही है ना पूरा वो सर्जरी की हो रही है, like वीडियो के अंदर ब्लड बहुत सारा निकलता है. They see a video which consists of blood, and the moment you stop looking at the screen, वहां पे एक्सपेरिमेंट स्टॉप कर देते हैं, वहां पे स्टॉप हो जाता है. So if you keep looking at the screen, the experiment keeps going on, right? And while you're looking at the video, तुम्हारा क्या चीज नोट हो रहा है? Heart rate, BP and sweating. So ये तो basically ब्लड फोबिक वाले का हार्ट रेट, बीपी एंड स्वेटिंग इस तरीके से इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे थे. इंजेक्शन वाले का हार्ट रेट, बीपी एंड स्वेटिंग इस तरीके से इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे थे. सो व्हाट्स द थिंग, पता चला इन द रिजल्ट्स दैट ब्लड फोबिक वाले एंड इंजेक्शन फोबिक वाले लोग का एक चीज हमेशा ड्रॉप होता है: ब्लड प्रेशर. ब्लड फोबिक वाले लोग जब खून की वीडियो देखते हैं ना, उनका बीपी लो होना शुरू हो जाता है. इंजेक्शन वाले लोग जब इंजेक्शन के प्रोसेस से गुजरते हैं, उनका बीपी लो हो जाता है. एंड व्हेन यू हैव लो बीपी, you're likely to faint, बेहोश होते हो. सो ऊस्ट कंक्लूड्स कि यार लोगों को जो इंजेक्शन फोबिया और ब्लड फोबिया वाले लोग हैं, उनको असल रीजन जो है ना, असल रीजन इज बिकॉज दे आर स्केयर्ड ऑफ फेंटिंग, क्योंकि इनका बीपी लो हो जाता है. Because the situation, so ना यहाँ पे परसेंटेज है कि ठीक है ना, ब्लड फोबिक वाले आर 77% likely to faint, and इंजेक्शन फोबिक वाले 48% likely to faint. So उसने एक तरीके से क्या किया, he has found the physiological reason of blood injection phobia. ठीक है कि लोग बेहोश ज्यादा होते हैं इसके अंदर जब भी लोग को डर लगता है. ठीक है. So in conclusion, he found the genetic linkage 61%, 29%, and he found the reason why people are scared of blood and scared of injection. Both of the people are scared because उनको बेहोश होने लगता है, क्योंकि बीपी लो आता है. ब्लड फोबिक वाले ज्यादातर लाइक ही चांस से बेहोश होंगे, इंजेक्शन वाले लोग भी बेहोश होने के चांसेस लगते हैं थोड़ा सा कम. And that's the study by Oost. It is an experiment, right? So it is an experiment. So you can talk about the validity of the study. It's very very valid क्योंकि यहाँ पे हार्ट मॉनिटर वगैरह लगाया था, इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स लगाए थे, एंड आप इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर सकते. देयर इज नो चांस ऑफ डिमांड कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स because these instrument measures your physiological response, and you cannot lower your BP on purpose. You cannot change your heart rate on purpose. So chances are the results are very very valid. Number two, uh, this procedure was standardized for every single participant. ठीक है ना, इंजेक्शन वालों का पूरा प्रोसीजर उनके हिसाब से स्टैंडर्डाइज था, ब्लड वाले लोग के साथ अपने तरीके से स्टैंडर्डाइज था. So it makes the experiment very very replicable, right? So it is replicable. Is it applicable? Yes, it's applicable. Now you know कि इनका blood pressure low होने की वजह से उनको डर लगता है. तो how can you apply this? By designing a therapy which makes them stop fainting. So if you are a person who is a follower of Oost, you're going to design a therapy that helps the people to increase their BP so that they don't faint. So that's the application. Okay. Ethically, you can say the people who are, go through situation that they rather not go through, so they will cause distress. इंजेक्शन वाले लोग, ब्लड फोबिया वाले लोग. उसके अलावा regarding the debates, nature nurture, this is completely nature because of the genetic aspect. um, individual situation is completely individual. बंदे की genetics and बंदे के physiological responses makes them faint, right? um, और क्या था, could be situational as well, क्योंकि whatever thing you're scared of makes you faint more. So situational भी हो सकता है कि इस तरीके से ब्लड फोबिक वाले लोग ज़्यादा फेंट होते हैं एज कम्पेयर इंजेक्शन वाले लोग. So whatever object you're scared of also influences the chance of you fainting zada. So that's a situational aspect. uh, Reduction is completely okay, it all comes down to the blood pressure, right? No cognition, nothing. Is it free will, deterministic? You might think that, you know what, BP, blood pressure, you cannot influence it, but आगे जाके पढ़ोगे कि you can influence your blood pressure. तो blood pressure को लेके free will हो जाएगा, लेकिन genetic aspect को लेके deterministic हो जाएगा, क्योंकि there's no way you can influence your genetics. और क्या है? Reductionist, individual situation, deterministic, nature nurture हो गया सारा. Is it scientific? It's completely scientific. Okay, they use instruments to measure your physiological responses, right? So it is completely scientific in that regard compared to other studies we have studied. Is it culture bias? Well, you can argue that सबकी biology same होती है regardless of culture, so that will make it not culture bias. But you can argue that people, some cultures that involve sacrifices make people exposed to blood more, so those people might be less likely to experience blood phobia. For example, Muslim culture, Eid al-Azha होती है, right? There are some cultures जहाँ पे आपको क्या कहते हैं, there's a rite of passage, ठीक है ना, जहाँ पे आपको खून निकालना पड़ता है to prove you're an adult. That culture might have people who are not scared of blood, right? So it depends upon the culture as well कि जितना ब्लड से ज़्यादा एक्सपोज होगा, जितना खून इस्तेमाल होगा आपके कल्चर के, उतना लाइकली कम है कि आप ब्लड से डरोगे. That's a culture aspect cancer. So yeah, any problem in Oost? All right, guys. Okay, so your question for this class is homework is gonna be that you're supposed to evaluate Oost, right? You're supposed to evaluate Freud, and you're supposed to evaluate Leonardo. Three explanation that we've done. Okay, na? Uh, you're supposed to evaluate them on any 4 points that you like: nature, nurture, individual, situational, whatever. Any 4 points that you like, right? But yeah, 4 points, Tina, and three explanations. That is going to be your homework. Okay. Otherwise, if we don't have any questions, then I'm gonna sign off. Do you guys have any questions regarding previous things? All right. Okay. I'm gonna then sign off. Lapis, please do the homework.